Hello, this is Insane Monster, and this is part one of what if Asta had the Black Light virus. Now, if you're confused by this, go to my channel and watch part zero of what if Asta had the Black Light virus first before you watch this one. All right, so pause it now and go watch part zero. Now that that's taken care of, hit it.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? This is just for us now.
You all know what that was. Link in the description below if you want to buy any of it. Now then, with part one, we begin at the beginning of the anime, where we see Asta training. Yuno goes over to see him to tell him that it's time to get back. So before that, Asta just looks at him saying, wait, you gotta see this. As he sprouts a white snake tail with red markings on it, then forms a bile blade on the end, completely slicing the nearby trees all up, causing them to all fall down while he just eats it all up using some biomass. Yuno's impressed by how thoroughly it got chopped up, though is confused about why the snake tail was white. Asta explains that Sever actually ate a chameleon and tried some plants and such with all kinds of different color, dye, and pigments. And now, since he bonded back with the rest of us, she's able to change her coloring and even give it patterns. Same with the rest, as he shows his arm, showing some red marks of his own forming, and then disappearing. Looked at him saying, see? Asta just remarks, yeah, oh, guess I didn't tell you. Yeah, Sever's actually a she, a female snake. The others are male, though. Strike and Cerberus, remember? Just sighs and says, yes, it's hard not to remember them. Though just remember not to show any of this crazy stuff off in the village recklessly. You don't need the other villagers scared. Also just looks at him saying, I would never. As they hurry and get going. On the way there, Asta gets Yuno's attention, and when he looks back, he just sees Asta right up to him with snake eyes and his tail just kind of waving in front of him. Just tries his best to hold a blank stare and then looks away. Just walk away. In his head, just walk away. Asta smirking, thinking, you're trying your hardest not to react, are you? With, stating, nope, that wasn't even enough to get a reaction from me. He turns his eyes and his tongue back to normal, with, stating that he should really be careful. He really shouldn't just change his attributes to the ones of the animals he has inside of him. It's kind of weird to look at, especially with those snake eyes and tails. It's, not sure how to put it. Off-putting, odd. Which then Sever pokes her head out, being white with red markings on her now, just hissing at him. Asta pets her head, stating that, oh, it's okay, Sever. He doesn't really mean it. He's just like that. Which you know, obviously asked, okay, so why did Sever actually change her color? Also just shrugged his shoulder and states he says he likes it this way. Even made her eyes red to go with the markings. And it looks quite nice. While you see Sever just give a smug snake look it with pride. And in his head he's thinking, I will never get used to this. Even though I've lived with him for so long. Inside house, the Strike and Cerberus are just sleeping. Once they get back to the church, they have a little feast announcing that they have a little meal and such, stating that they're going to be going to the Grimoire Tower and such. Once they get there, it goes like in canon, except Asta doesn't really make a scene after not getting a grimoire, and just leaves. Though one of the nobles just walks up to him, mocking him, thinking, trying to say whatever dignity you have by not making this scene. That's probably for the best commoner. Next thing he knows, he has a big ass a snake mouth about to chomp on his head, coming from coming out of Asta's shirt, with Asta yelling, "Stop!" Never stops and then goes back. Obviously, some kids are freaked. After seeing that, Asta just tells the guy, sorry, but Sever doesn't really like it when people are like that, especially to me. As he walks out of the Grimoire Tower, telling Sever that she needs to chill. He just remarks that he's nowhere near as strong as you. He shouldn't act all high and mighty just because he's a noble. Being born in a family like that doesn't mean you have any real skill or power. He asks Sever, yeah, and what about me? You guys are the only ones who can use the monocores, remember? I can't even access them. Sever stated, yes, but without you, we wouldn't have them to begin with, and we might have died a long time ago. Not to mention, we wouldn't have be as strong as we are now. So, in our eyes, you are far superior to them. Asta sighs and says, look, I don't really care about this whole superiority thing. Let the nobles and the royals have that. Even if it isn't true that they are in strength wise, I don't really care. I just want to be Wizard King. As Cerberus chimes in and says, well, of course, and we will help you. Though, though I have to admit, it angered me to have that weakling say such things to you, Master. He just scratches his head. Cerberus, it's fine. Just ignore them, alright? Doesn't really matter. Especially if they don't matter to you, right? Strike comes in stating he has a point. It's not like that guy could actually hurt Master anyways. And besides, even if he did cause any physical damage, he could just regenerate and it'd be like it never happened. Though did that happen, Sever would probably rip him to shreds. With Sever agreeing with that. After some time, the same thing happens with Yuno being captured, and Asta gets there, and he gets pissed. And of course, this riles up the Sever, Cerberus, and Strike. The chainmates obviously tells Asta to just get out of here and that he's worthless. Though he'll take the snake from him. Seemed pretty interesting, and he could probably sell it on the black market along with with your friend's grimoire. And he just did something he really shouldn't have in a gigantic snake form, allowing the other 9 snakes to come out, well, their heads to come out. Sever, the main head, has an elaborate color scheme on the top of her head. As for all the others, they have a different number of Tomaway marks. If you don't know what that mark is, it's the same kind of circle with a little dash, kind of like a kind of like a kind of like a comma, sort of, with a blank dot in the center of it. Basically, they span from 1 to 9 from Sever's basically subordinates. So basically, white, giant ass, white Orochi with red marks and red eyes across the, well, red eyes and red marks across the body. He's freaking out, thinking, the hell is this thing? As he goes to attack it, Asta instantly uses a whip, a bio whip, with a blade at the end to break his chains. The chainmate starts just panicking, yelling, I thought you were supposed to be magicless. You're a monster. Instantly, he's met with Sever firing fireballs from all of her mouths at once. He uses the chains to move up to evade them, as Asta releases Cerberus next to break the chains holding Yuno. Cerberus goes full giant 3-head wolf and uses his steel magic skin to bite down on the chains and break him to set Yuno free. The chain mage is just panicking, saying, no way, this is impossible. As for Cerberus' new look, since Sever ate the chameleon and all that, like I said earlier, and bonded with Asta along with the others, that same marking ability also spreaded to Cerberus and Strike as well. Cerberus has a gray coat with black markings. In the silver armor form, kind of silver skin form, he has a silver base with still the black markings. As for Strike, kind of a golden feather thunderbird with 6 wings with blue markings. So this is when the 5-leaf clover grimoire instantly burst from the wall and went directly to Asta, revealing the Demon Slayer sword. As he grabs it, he walks towards the chainmate, saying, this has gone on long enough. As he's just pissed, with his eyes glowing red. He yells, you're just some monster, as he goes for an all-out attack. Instantly, with a swipe of the sword, he destroys his magic, then blitzes him, covering his free hand in a bio fist, the blunt one from the game, and punches him clean through the wall. He isn't dead, though he is very hurt. Sever uses her tail to grab Yuno's grimoire and asks his Asta if they should devour him. Asta stated, no, I don't want to do that. I really don't want this bastard's memories, nor do I want to know anything he's ever done. I just want him to get locked up, put where he belongs. So I think I'll take the cloak. Could be useful, at least for now. So they take his cloak. He gets arrested, and before the mages got there to chain him up, Asta got Cerberus and Sever back in to his body, giving back his grimoire. Like in canon, Asta and do their little fist bump and about their remember their promise about being rivals. After that, we get to Asta's training. He does it as hard as he can with Sever, Cerberus, and Strike attacking him relentlessly to get him used to wielding the sword. Even figuring out that the flat of the blade can reflect it when he went to hit one of Sever's fireballs, but hit it with the flat of the blade. They were excited for their master that he received such a grimoire that could not only destroy magic but reflect it. Sever, Strike, and Cerberus do admire Asta a lot, which is why they call him their master, but also because they see him like at the top of the food chain kind of deal with the whole animal instinct thing. He still meets the Diamond Kingdom mage, the defector, that taught him about proper swordsmanship, and Asta still helps him with the diamond mages, blasting them out. Though they got away, unfortunately. Sever wasn't really happy, figuring that they could have gotten stronger from eating them, but Asta said that it was fine. It was his swordsman's teacher's ex-comrade, so out of respect for that, they can leave them be for now. So they just get going. Which is where we get to the part where Asta and Yunor have to go to the Magic Knight exam. As for how they're getting there, instead of walking, they decide to use Strike. Strike, base form, is a owl that infected a falcon and a hawk, merging features together and such to create, along with the lightning magic core that he has, create basically a Thunderbird. So give him a bunch of biomass, and Asta and Yunor riding on top of him all the way to the capital. This kind of surprises people seeing this thing in the sky. They decide to land a bit out of view from the capital and walk the rest of the way. Once they got there, they got something to eat while they waited for the exam to get started for them to enter. Which it did, they still got registered, like in canon. So this time around, before entering the arena where they would be waiting, Nero landed on his head with with Strike stating, should we do something about this little pest? Ostus said, nah, it's fine. Just leave the bird alone. As Cerberus remarked, it's unusual. Normally, animals like this would run in terror. Leave from us. Or at least from you. Which exactly is what happened. When Asa was coming through the doorways alone into the waiting area, since Yuno was a bit ahead of him, since Asa was kind of playing with Nero for a couple of minutes, he ended up, right when he walked through the gateway, all of the anti-magic birds just felt it. They were uncontrollably panicking and just flew away in fear. They all recognized that this happened right when this kid entered the area, and they don't sense any magic from him for the anti-magic bird to fly away, let alone freak out to such a degree. Yami was able to see this and got interested, though Finral was able to pull him away before actually meeting him in this one. After that, the captains walked in, announcing the exams and such. So, the first one was the flight test. Asta and everybody got their brooms and, did basically a broom surfing thing, which is pretty cool. Asta, however, just chucked the broom and sprouted wings from Strike out of his back and started flying. This was unusual to people, since it looked like actual wings from a living organism and not magic. Not to mention, they didn't sense any magic coming from him, so they're not sure what to make of it. As for the marksman test, a couple of Sever's subordinate heads, along with her, came out from the sleeves and the collar of his shirt and started firing fireballs. After that, they asked Asta to not use magic animals in this test, with a noble walking up to him saying, huh, probably can't even use magic, huh? You're having some kind of animals use it, do the test for you? Asta, well, Asta was about to say something, but then Sever came out of his palm of his hand and went to attack. He had to stop her again. The captain, Flagolan, demanded that Asta get rid of those animals in his clothing, which then Asta just raised up his hand, showing that the other end of the snake was inside of his hand. The snake itself was coming out of the palm. He states, "They're not in my clothes, they're in me. They're a part of me." As Sever retracts back into his hand. Obviously, one of the captains, Captain Ozell, asked what kind of magic does he have. Asa just smirks and says, "Monster magic." This is unnerving to the other examinees and confusing to the captains, since they never heard of anything like that. So, considering what they just saw, they understand that it's just something he can do. So, but they do ask that they check, and after a quick pat down from one of the mages that were to help conducting the exams, they didn't find any animals in his clothing. So it was decided that it could continue. Next, I believe it was the creation portion. Asta didn't know what to do, so he just he tried to think for a moment and sprouted a snake tail with a bile blade at the end, figuring that would be good enough. Still shocking everybody that this kid do this kind of stuff. After that, some people are freaking scared of Asta, but one arrogant noble, let's say, uses stone magic, challenges Asta for the combat portion. He agrees, and he demands that he goes all out. so that he can show the inferiority of a commoner like him. Asta had to restrain Sever a lot, though told her that, "You want him, Sever?" As his eyes glowed red, the nobles saw this and heard what he said. Backed up, saying, "Who the hell is Sever?" After they walked away and to the distance where they could start the exam, Asta began to take off his shirt to reveal his back. Only enough to reveal his back, with him stating, with the noble stating, "What the hell are you doing? Are you prostrating yourself? Are you prostrating yourself to your betters already?" Asa just looks at him with glowing red eyes, stating, "No, you really pissed off Sever, so she wants to take care of you. I'm gonna let her. I don't even need my grimoire to beat you, but honestly, after what you said, it's either this or I'm gonna have to deal with her attitude later." As 10 snake heads emerged from his back, revealing a giant albino snake with red markings, with basically giant albino Orochi with red markings across its body. And Asta was sitting on top of Sever, the main head's head, basically. The noble just starts to freak, but instantly goes for an attack. This is met by some of the heads armoring up with the blacklight virus over them to block it without much effort. After that, he's met with an instant barrage of flame attacks. Basically, fireball breaths, just full on launching at him. He uses his stones to stop the flames as best as he could, which is when Severs split into 10 giant snakes surrounding him, breaking his stone with their tails, with one of them coiling around him with the end of the snake tail, lifting him up, squeezing him, as he begs for forgiveness and screams that he surrenders. Asta demanded him to be let down. He was, without issue, as the snakes reformed back with Sever, and she went back into Asta. He wasn't. The whole place was free, and the captains were sure what to think. But Moselle stepped up and went down to the arena, stating, "This was supposed to let us see what you could do with your grimoire. As of this, through this entire test, we haven't seen this. So we're going to have you do something else, an additional test that you have to use your grimoire for. You're not allowed to use that snake again." Asta states, "So I shouldn't use Strike or Cerberus either?" They're surprised to hear that, as Legolion stands up, stating, "Wait, there are more?" Asta smirks, saying, "Yeah." This is when Nozel looks at Legolion to come and tells him to come down here for a second as they discuss something. So they decide to give him a challenge. They will each create a magic beast spell. Obviously, Nozel will make a giant mercury eagle, and Flagoleon would make a giant flame lion, and state that he has to destroy these spells in order to pass this test. They go back to their seats and just watch. Asta takes out his grimoire and pulls out a sword. This confuses the captains, thinking, I thought he was supposed to have monster magic. With the incredible speed and strength boost he has from the Black Light virus, he full on blitzes the Eagle first, taking out the aerial superiority combatant, destroying it in a single slash. Every the lion turns around and goes directly for Asta, trying to attack him. But Asta just thrusts the tip of the sword into it, destroying the lion. Everybody, normally, if a spell is destroyed or, you know, undone by the caster, the mana is dispersed. However, nobody sensed the dispersed mana. The attacks from those captains, the mana in them, completely destroyed. They knew and they could tell. Obviously, this unnerved a lot of people. But Miami, he just couldn't stop smiling. He found this kid so interesting, thinking that he would be perfect. As for the selection, things go as in canon for Yuno, and he does pick the Golden Dawn. As for Asta, he gets 3 picks: the Coral Peacocks, the Aqua Deers, and the Black Bulls. He looks around at his choices, thinking, and he notices the Coral Peacock's captain is asleep. As for the Aqua Deers, he's not sure about him. He just seems kind of goofy, but enjoyable. Seems like he would be fun to be around. And when he gets to Yami, he feels something different. Since being bonded with those animals, that, having Sever, um, Strike, and Cerberus with him, and also considering that they're all predatorial animals, he has good animal instincts. He has a pleasant instinct with him. So he just smirks and chooses the Black Bulls. Obviously, the Aqua Deer's Captain Rill is kind of sighing about this, and Flegolion asked why did he choose the Black Bulls. He just sticks his hand in his pocket and smirks at Flegolion, saying, I tend to follow my instincts, and my instincts tell me that this guy is a good choice. He just sits back down, saying, do as you wish. After that, everybody else who got into a squad got into their squad, and such. The ones who didn't get picked left. And next, Asta just goes off to head out, saying goodbye to Yuno and heading to the Black Bull's hideout. Which, when he opens the door, just sees a bunch of crazy people. 2 of them fighting, and when a fireball goes right at him, he creates a bioshield blocking it. Yami just is behind him, stating, that's similar to what those snakeheads did to block those stone attacks. Pretty cool. You'll have to show me what else you can do. As he yells at his squad mates, destroying a wall, telling them to shut up. So they all be quiet for a moment, then go straight to Yami, welcoming him back. The Asta is introduced to the Black Bulls and vice versa. The baptism goes as the same for the physical portion, but instead, Asta full on shatters the boulder he headbutts. As for the baptism with the magic, Yami demanded that Magna have Luck help him. Magna wasn't sure what he was talking about, but stated just went along with it, and Luck was more than happy to go with it. Asta pulled out his anti-magic sword and was about to summon his and figured that Strike would be best to deal with Luck, but Yami stated that he couldn't use any of those things that come out of his body, which confused the Black Bulls, but Asta just sighed, saying, alright. With his increased physical speed and strength, he was easily able to dodge Magna's and Luck's attacks. They both went in for a powerful, heavy-duty attack to fire at him, which he was already prepared to handle, slamming them both with the flat of the blade, sending it back to them. They were able to dispel it before it hit them, though they did get Magna did get a little charged from the flames, and Luck did get a little zapped. But they went straight for him after that, with Finral being surprised that he didn't have to, not being that surprised considering how well he did in the exam. And Magna and Luck are just excited to have him on board, with Magna stating that he's a real man. And then Charmy asked something, asking, what did the captain mean about something inside of you? As he then remembered that he should probably introduce them. He released Cerberus in the basic wolf form with the black markings. Sever came out of his neck, wrapping around it. And remember, Sever is a python, so she's quite large. And Strike in his Taito Owl, basic Taito Owl form, since he was, a Taito Owl to begin with, came out of his forearm, perching himself, introducing them. Though Yami didn't really like the name Sever, as she just hissed at him, and also saying she doesn't approve of you making not she doesn't really like you saying that about her name, with Vanessa telling them that it's nothing to them personally. Him and the captain of the green praying mantises have a bit of a rivalry going, so they don't particularly like each other that much. And the praying mantis captain actually uses severing magic, so the name probably just reminds him of him. Which they remembered the really skinny dude with the long tongue that kept sticking out of his mouth. With Sever thinking, I suppose I can't really blame him. He seemed like a very odd man. After that, they just get the talking, celebrating Asta's introduction to the Black Bulls. As like in canon, Noel is looking up from up top, wondering about Asta and seeing what he can do. After he gets shown to where he'll be living, he hops in the bed, and Strike, Sever, and Cerberus come out, relaxing with Narrow perching on the windowsill. Sever asks if she could finally eat this little thing, with him stating, no, I don't know what's up with this bird, but I don't think it's like the others. And I don't think infecting it would be a good idea either, at least for now. Let's just wait and see what happens. As Sever is fine with that. After a while of tossing and turning, obviously, he just replies, I can't sleep. I'm so used to sleeping in a basically pile from the orphanage. So, Cerberus hops onto the bed and splits off his two subordinates that give him the additional two heads to be looking like a Cerberus, and just lies on top, with Sever splitting apart as well. And obviously, Strike doesn't want to miss out and splits up too, revealing the Falcon and the Hawk that he infected and made his subordinates. Though the combined weight ended up breaking the legs, with Asta just smirking, heading them, even with some tiny mix-ape symbiote hands, since he couldn't pet them all, telling them thank you. I appreciate the thought. Let's get some sleep. Now then, this is where we'll be ending part 1 of What If Asta Had the Blacklight Virus. If you enjoyed, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that you're notified for when the next What If is uploaded. And have a good night. See you later.